Mr. President, you came to a country where our public debt is 9 trillion Kenya shillings. You came to a country where inflation was almost going to double digit. You came to a country where much of the workforce, the able workforce, 36% of those who are qualified to work have no jobs. You came to a country where we are not even able to feed ourselves. Mr. President, you had a choice to make us continue in bliss and enjoying ourselves in oblivion, or make the hard choice, make us tighten the belts now for us to have long-term stability in the future. And I am glad that is the route you have taken. And I want to request my fellow patriots, my fellow countrymen, it is very easy for a president to please the nation. Very easy. We may not even have to pay taxes. We may not have to do too much. But then what are the kind of countries that are in that kind of situation? And I want you to compare all the countries with very low taxation. We compare with their standards of life. And I agree, and you agree with me, the president has chosen the stability side. And after doing that, what is the situation now? Some of our peers in terms of countries, a country like Turkey, which is part of OECD countries, rich countries, their inflation rate is over 70%. Some of our neighbors here, and I can't mention names, their inflation is above 33%. As we talked last year, the inflation of Kenya is currently 7.9%. And it is headed even lower, and especially after the blessing of rains. And therefore, Mr. President, may I beseech you as a leader, I know that as a human being, I have to be compelled to do my bit. But your obligation is bigger than my wish now. And I plead with you, wewe ukwame hapo kwa future ya Kenya, kwa sababu in a year or two, Kenyans will appreciate the reason why we have to tighten our belts. I have heard many stories out there. People say, you know, we had subsidies, this other time, we had subsidies that other time. I am the chairman of budget in the National Assembly. And I want to confirm to the Kenyan people, the subsidy you hear that was there, the subsidy in terms of oil, the subsidy in terms of unga, I can confirm even the subsidy of oil is being paid by none other than His Excellency William Ruto and this administration. What we enjoyed then is postponed subsidies. Enjoyment was then, the payment is now. As we talk, even the subsidy we enjoyed last year, 40 billion shillings in subsidies of fuel, it is being paid by this current administration. And therefore, we are not trying to blame anyone, but it is responsible for us to tell the Kenyan people where we are so that we also appreciate where we are headed. One of the major issues in our country is something called inequality, where the gap between the people who have and the people who don't have is too wide. And Mr. President, the only tool that bridges the gap of inequality, the only fair tool of redistribution is education. The other fair tool of redistribution is making sure the population, from those who have to those who don't have, are healthy. Mr. President, you need resources for all of us to go to school. Even the child of a person like me being brought up when I was young. Mr. President, we have to avail these resources to you so that even the child of a poor person can go to the school of their choice. And I am sure you're already doing that. That a third of our budget is going to education, and especially to the education of the people who would otherwise not afford education. And I allowed you also lastly, because of the reforms you are doing in the higher education. I want to show the Kenyan people that previously, you know, the majority of the people who are dejected, their children go to day schools. In the recent past, over 5,000 schools in Kenya have not producing even a single student to proceed to universities. The people in day schools are not the people who would afford private universities. And the reform the president is bringing is to ensure even that child in this school, somewhere in Karachuonyo, somewhere in Ukabani, somewhere in Muranga, they also have got an opportunity to be what they can be in life.
We have come from far with head of state. I can call him the David of our last election. And you know very well, we had a lot of challenges and temptations. And actually, we had a warrior who was ahead of us and who kept always telling us that, keep on, guys, and we are going to win this battle. And finally, here we are. I do appreciate the support that the church gave us and the whole fraternity of Kenya, because they never see the might of those who are in the system and the rest, but they always focused on the destination. And here we are, and our David has already made us to be victorious, and therefore we feel the victory is with us.
We should be all very proud that we have a president who understands the power of God, who is ready to support the church. And I want to assure you, Kenya has come from very far. From the time of independence, we've had many revolutions until the time we had our new constitution. What Kenya needed at this time was an economic revolution. And I believe, honestly believe, that the president we have today is the one person who could have taken us through to the next stage in our country, Kenya. I used to be a pilot in my previous life. There's something we call stalling, whereby a plane has a minimum speed. If you go slower than that, the plane drops from the sky. And it happens sometimes. The irony is, when that plane drops from the sky, the way to recover the aircraft is to push it down even more. So you have to push it down, which is against your instincts, so that you recover the aircraft and go to the sky. Where we are in Kenya right now, we were put in a very deep hole. It is very easy to criticize from outside, but there is only one way to recover this aircraft. There must be a period when we push the aircraft down, get enough speed, and then recover and go back to the sky. So what I'm trying to say is that we have a very able pilot at the controls presently, and we should thank God. The challenges ahead, that's what I'm saying, it's very easy to be in the opposition and criticize, but we must go through it so that we can recover our country.
We're going to work together with the church. We're going to work together with the religious organizations so that we prevent anything like this from ever happening again in the Republic of Kenya. I want to ask our religious leaders, I want to ask our religious fraternity that we work together towards formulating what our religious leaders and institution will give us as the benchmark, how we avoid situations where individuals abuse religion to extort from people and to even destroy lives of people. We have to be sensitive, and I am confident that our religious leaders will give us the guidance on how we are going to make sure that true religion, belief in God, our faith, our commitment to Scripture is not taken advantage of by a few people who have aims that are not very legitimate.
When we look at Goliath, Goliath is an intimidating encounter. And when this country could not find anyone who could face against the perennial, traditional problems that have been facing this country, God lifted up a David in the name of William, and we were able to face up some of the challenges. We had been historically told that you can never go against tradition, against dynasties, against systems, and a David emerged. Now, it is only in victory that we discovered that the Goliath encounter is a recurring one. His Excellency the President goes into government and finds empty coffers in our treasury. New Goliaths emerge, and we have to find new ways of facing these new Goliaths. But vile Daudi alisema kwenye kitabu kitakatifu, hii mambo ni kujipanga, my friend. And I know a David who knows how to jipanga. Na akajipanga nayo, and as we are working on the renewal of our economy, the recovery of this country, I know we have a great leader ahead of us.